podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Good job with the shot, and the Slough Jets have taken the lead on the power play. With 23 Russell with the shot for a goal. No need for the save from Lordo, and Campbell finds himself in, and it is 3-1 to the Chelsea Chieftains.
Hello and welcome to Zero Pucks Given, the UK Ice Hockey Podcast. We're in partnership with the Hockey Art Co, hockey clothing for hockey people, worn by the best and hated by the rest. Listeners to Zero Pucks Given get a 10% discount off everything site-wide at hockeyartclothing.co.uk. Just use the code ZP10 upon checkout to get your discount. We are also in partnership with Manscaped, male grooming products, redefining the gentleman all across the world. You can get 20% off of everything from manscaped.com when you use the code 0pucks20. All caps, all one word, 0pucks20. 20% off of everything, including the Performance Package 5.0 and the new Dome Shaver Pro. Perfect for those chrome domes, similar to myself. We are also on the Sports Social Podcast Network, the largest sports podcast network in Europe, boasting over 500 podcasts from nearly 20 different sports. It's also the home of the ZPG Network, which includes ZPG Ice Maidens, the only dedicated podcast to women's hockey in the UK. Adam Mackman will be back very, very soon, building up to the WNOHL season as it comes, and he will also have this interview included on that episode. Reason being is that we've managed to get one of the PWHL professional players onto the podcast. This young Canadian lady is a gold medal winner, a three-time world championship winner, and was so unlucky not to take home the inaugural playoff title with the PWHL Toronto last year. I caught up with Emma Maltais.
It's Gomper. Gomper takes a shot, saves and scores! Emma Maltais!
She's electric. She's in a family full of eccentrics. She's done things I've never expected. And I need...
Zero Pucks Given in partnership with the Hockey Art Co and the Sports Social Podcast Network and Manscaped male grooming products. Absolutely delighted to welcome PWHL Toronto star Emma Maltais. How are you doing today?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. You're the first professional player that we've actually had on Zero Pucks Given, so an honour for you.
Wow, thank you.
How's your summer been so far then?
It's been great. Kind of just traveling all over the place, doing some different kind of things, training a lot, starting up a month or two ago. So, yeah, just getting ready for the season now. Yeah,
you're getting ready to come back in. I mean, how was the room after the end? Because it was so typically Toronto, wasn't it, to get...
Yeah. I mean, the room was pretty good. I feel like we were really upset with how things shook out. I think, though, like when you're a pro athlete, you have to look long term. And I think for us, we knew we had a lot of growing to do. And I think in the long-term scheme of things, it's a good thing. I think although we wanted to win the first one and have that title as the first ever champion, I think now we have something to look forward to and something to train for. And I think, obviously the media probably would relate us and the Leafs the same way. But I think that I have much more respect for NHL players who have to play day in and day out now that I had to do it myself. I think that the playoff schedule is super hectic, and I'm grateful for the learning opportunities this year and looking forward to hopefully giving it a better shot next year.
Yeah, I suppose that the disappointment can act as a motivator, I suppose, this year as you go in.
Yeah, definitely. I think we obviously had a lot of like peaks and valleys in our season. I think that definitely motivates us to start in a consistent way and kind of build as we go rather than going on a losing streak, going on a winning streak, going on a couple games before the playoffs, and then bam, down. So yeah, I think we're excited for the next season all around the league.
And how are those preparations going with Toronto?
Good. We haven't started as a team yet. We don't start until November as a team, but a couple of us have national team camp coming up in a week or two, so we're kind of prepping for that at the same time as prepping for the season.
It's Olympic qualifiers coming up, isn't it, I think?
No, that's not till next year, but for Hockey Canada, you have to make the team every year, and every September-ish there's a camp to evaluate you for like rivalry series, world championships, things like that.
Oh, excellent. I like GB's men have got their Olympic qualifiers coming towards, I think they're actually in the next couple of days.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that something that you're looking ahead to now? I was only like a year and a half away now, isn't it? It's early 2026 in Milan. Is that something you're looking at?
That's definitely a goal of mine. I feel like with my first Olympic Games, I was very grateful to make it at such a young age, but also it's no secret that Olympics was quite different with COVID. So it's been a goal of mine to make that roster. And for hockey, it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily a qualifier. It's like a long-term training camp. But with Hockey Canada, it is a process. It's a long-term commitment. And the group of girls has been awesome. So I'm just continuously trying to stay a part of that group and push my limits. So obviously with Milan coming up, that is the goal. But like I said, it's a process and there's a couple steps before then.
There is indeed. How did the PWHL live up to expectation? Because I think it went further than a lot of people thought it was going to go this year, especially with the global exposure. But for you being in it as a player, how did you find that it kind of it was spawned and then it went on?
Yeah, like you said, it really exceeded all of our expectations. I think a lot of us thought that people wanted to watch women's hockey. And when the creation of the league, I think there's often times of frustration as to like, why aren't people watching? Why? And a lot of us thought, okay, well, if we got the proper exposure, if we got the proper opportunity to showcase what we had, if they put it on and broadcasted it in the similar way as they do to men's hockey, we think that it would be successful. So it was a kind of a moment where it was like all that came to fruition. People were excited to watch. People were having their favorite players, having their favorite teams. It was also a time and a place where you could feel included. You could go to a game and really connect with a lot of different kinds of people. It was a diverse community that came together, which was very cool for women's hockey. I think that was the thing that I didn't expect, is how much people really felt welcomed and had fun, and how much our environment in our locker room translates to our fan base.
Have you noticed the difference yourself in being now a fully professional athlete? Has it changed your day-to-day life?
I think that our schedule has definitely changed. For me, it was going to have to be a change anyway coming out of college. So kind of, I think with the season starting later, I got a little bit more of a break, which is kind of funny. And then I think just the long-term goal and the long-term expectations for yourself have changed. I think in a college season, obviously, every year it starts in September. It's the same kind of way. It's the same. You only have the year to win. You only have whatever. And in a way, that is the same with professional. But I think there's also an individual aspect when you play professional where you want to set goals for yourself as a pro athlete, as well as kind of collaborate with your team. So I think that mix adds a different dynamic. We're also all getting older. The schedule is much more tougher to deal with travel. So I think that once we adapted to that, those are the differences that I definitely had to adjust to.
How have you taken to the level of exposure? Because obviously as a Canadian gold medal winner from a Winter Olympics, there's going to be a community that knows exactly who you are. But the PWHL kind of took some of you and thrust you globally. How did some of you guys deal with that?
Yeah, honestly, it was very weird at times to just kind of get like recognized at some places. I think but I think that's like such a cool honor and responsibility now that a lot of us have, just to be role models for a lot of young girls. I think that we're lucky that we were given the opportunity to be put on a spotlight and kind of get that opportunity to put our sport on the map. And that came with so many women before us, like doing all that work to set this league up. So I think a lot of us feel that responsibility to, add to it, to create our own brand, create an identity for the sport. Because like you said, they're really putting a couple of us on the hot spot. So I think, especially when it's a lower number, you feel like much more pressure to kind of be ready at all times to interact with no matter who comes your way.
Yeah, which must be tough because not everyone's having a good day every day, are they?
No, yeah, definitely not. But like I said, I think this year we're all feeling very privileged. So at times, yeah, it can be tiring. But I think like we're right now, it's at the point where it's still super new and super exciting.
Do you think that the league can actually act as a global beacon for players from around the world to now say, I can go and play pro in America, whereas before it wasn't an option?
Definitely. I think you see it this year. A lot of Europeans are coming over and playing in the league. They're leaving their leagues in their hometowns and coming to play the best hockey in the world. And I think although right now there's only 6 teams, there's definitely going to be growth. There's definitely going to be more opportunities. I think right now with the 6 teams, you can tell like the competition is so high. That's great for getting our sport again like on the map globally. And then it shouldn't be easy to accomplish your dreams. Like it should be difficult. So it's going to be difficult to become a professional women's hockey player. It's going to be difficult to get drafted and to crack a roster. But that's the way it should be. So I think that giving just the opportunity for young girls to dream is going to make them work harder. It's going to make them stay in sports. And globally, all over the world, they're going to keep tabs on it. They're going to be watching their favorite players and hopefully dreaming to be in the league one day.
Yeah, I mean, it might be putting you on the hot seat a little bit. It might not be your area of expertise, and do forgive any of my ignorance in it. Is it working similar to men's sport with the college drafting? Are there girls coming through college as you did and are then fighting for professional draft into the original 6?
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you for the confusion. I think last year it was a little bit wonky with starting the new league. There was a different way of doing it. But yes, this year was the first draft where it was all girls coming out of college, but you could also enter the draft if you like hadn't yet. So say if you were playing in Europe and you were on a contract last year, you could enter the draft and be eligible to be drafted to a team. I would imagine that would keep going. And I would imagine you don't have to come to and play college before you get drafted. If you're good enough, it's like the men's game. I'm assuming a team would pick you up.
Yeah, although I think it's a path a lot of Europeans do actually like to take, is having that American experience in the college, because college hockey is just a level all of its own, isn't it? I mean, the levels that you've now played at, coming through, in a minute we're gonna backtrack and go right the way back to your early career, but coming through college, international, and now professional, can you see the clear differences and progressions in those levels?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of was fortunate enough in the middle of my college experience to get that boatload of international experience. I wasn't expecting that. I think that really helped me in the transition to pro. I think also, that's the big jump, like college to pro or college to international. Because although college is a great level, there's definitely that age range of 4 years, and after that, the girls at the next level, a lot of women have been training their entire lives to play at this level. They're stronger, they're bigger, and you don't realize how talented they are. I remember when I went to my first senior camp, I was like, I'm never going to make this team, like with the caliber that the women are at, and you just don't notice when you are behind a screen watching them. So yeah, the jump was a lot, but once I got that international experience under my belt, I was familiar with the play. Then you start processing the game a little bit faster, and once you can start moving in the same speed in your brain as you do with your feet, things kind of start to settle down.
Yeah. And I think what I love to see with women's hockey, I watch as much as I can over here. It's not quite as accessible. You do have to, with streaming and whatnot, it's not really streamed online. You have to kind of get out to a barn and go and see it. But watching the PWHL on YouTube this year, I really have enjoyed seeing the passion from all of the girls, particularly if you scored that important goal. There's in the little clip I made for sort of promo in this was your shorthanded goal that you notched against New York, and your celebration was just like absolute joy, and it was so good to see. Is that something I think that all the women are now just saying, you know what, we don't care what anyone thinks, what anyone says, we love what we're doing and we're enjoying it?
Yeah, I think in general, I think in women's hockey, you see a lot more emotion and you see a lot more of who we are authentically. I think that's the cool part about it. We don't have as much pressure to act a certain way, act in a box, and I think we're all willing to kind of show our authentic selves. So whether that's on the ice or off the ice or online, I think you see a lot of us taking that opportunity to show that.
And you're not expected to drop buckets and drop gloves.
Yeah. Sometimes we get very feisty, but
that's one thing I do love to see is the physicality side of it, because in the UK it's non-checking.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I grew up playing non-checking, and it was kind of just like, it was barely even talked about. I remember my first game, I kind of just like hit one of my friends on the other team, and I looked around and I didn't get a penalty, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this again. And I did it again, like right after, and I didn't get a penalty again. And I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this. I feel like it's allowed, and slowly the rules kind of got released that, oh yeah, we can body check now, and it's something I personally love, but definitely an adjustment.
Yeah, I'd imagine once you've then done it, it's actually probably harder to stop doing it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. I feel like
my dog's in the room.
I played hitting with boys like growing up, so I kind of got a little bit exposure on how to hit properly. But it's always been a little bit a part of my game. I've always been physical. I think the only difference now is like everyone's doing it, so you have to like know to keep your head up and protect yourself, and also you can hit like open more, like a little bit harder, I guess, but within the rules.
Yeah, that's the part you say of having the brain keep up with the feet, keeping your head on the swivel.
Yeah.
Making sure you don't get caught from somewhere that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're a Burlington girl. Is that where your hockey started?
Yeah. Yes.
Obviously no other option really in Canada, is there?
No, there's actually a lot of I'm really lucky. I'm from the hub of hockey in probably North America. I feel like, Burlington is just one of the many cities in the GTA. I started my career in Burlington with boys hockey, and then I played girls hockey in Oakville, which is just the town over. We're very, very fortunate here. We were entered in all the big tournaments, got the opportunities to be seen by all the scouts all the time, kind of on that spotlight in terms of youth hockey. So definitely fortunate to be from here.
Were you an early natural? Was it figure skating first or straight into hockey?
Straight into hockey for me. My brother started figure skating and he hated it, so he's 4 years older than me. And I was more of a fearless child, so my parents, I think, knew that I was okay to go straight into hockey.
And then, as you say, girls with Oakville, what was the sort of the level like then? Was there a lot of girls hockey going on in Canada?
Yeah, there was. There always has been when I was growing up. I think now it's even better. So a lot of girls don't have to play boys hockey. Like you'll hear a lot of girls on the national team who are a little bit older all had to play boys hockey if they wanted to make it to the next level, especially from a small town. But from my area, we had this, it was actually called the PWHL. Back then, it's now called U22, U21, Junior League in the GTA in Ontario, actually. And I played in that league for 3 years before college, and it was a really high intensity league, and we kind of got that college vibe before we headed to college. So I felt like I was really prepped heading into Ohio State.
Yeah. And then college, where I've lost my little bit of research on that. Where was college for you?
I went to Ohio State.
Oh, Ohio State. How did you get on there? What was your college career?
Yeah, I played at Ohio State for 5 years, and a break in between for the Olympics. I was committed there when I was in grade 9, so very early commitment. I knew I was going for a long time before I actually went. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. It's a massive school, over 120,000 people go there. The football is insane. So we were really lucky. We were treated very nicely at Ohio State with all the money that they get from the football team, which is just so awesome. I also think that being in such a sports school, there was a lot of opportunity for athletes that there wasn't elsewhere. So I really got to build myself as a human, as a student, which all the opportunities were there if you wanted them. And yeah, I went there to try and help build the program, and that's exactly what happened. We ended up my class kind of ended up building this program into something that we dreamt of it being. And with the new coach hire right before I went there, she did an amazing job of getting everyone on board, and we ended up winning a couple championships.
Excellent stuff. Did you try any other sports while you were in college?
Not in college. College was my time for hockey. There was no time for other sports. But yeah, in high school, I played a lot of different sports.
Yeah. Anything similar, combat sports, anything like that?
I played, field hockey and track were kind of my other two favorites. I feel like track was one that I can see a direct resemblance of, not necessarily the environment, but the speed and learning how to balance your energy and be the most efficient when you're running. But yeah, I still use some of the stuff I learned then now.
Yeah, as much as I like watching field hockey, that was the first hockey that I ever played was field hockey. I kind of look at it now thinking the pitch is too big, it's too many people, and get rid of the ball. Use a park. It
is tough.
Too big as well.
It is tough, but you also have to be a right hand shooter because there's no lefty stick. So I was playing my opposite hand, which was kind of beneficial in a way, but definitely was a disadvantage.
At the time, I suppose has that now made you a little bit more kind of ambidextrous as you're playing ice hockey?
I wouldn't say ambidextrous, but definitely I can tell sometimes the skills that you use to almost flip over your stick in field hockey I use a little bit, but not tons.
Yeah, the old Indian dribble.
Yeah.
So as you say, you come out of college to do the Winter Olympics. What was that experience like? Because you were very young. That was an experienced team that went there with some youngsters like yourself. And as you say, probably not a pure Olympic experience because of what had happened with COVID, but as an experience as a whole, did that kind of shape your future career?
Yeah, the Olympics totally changed my life in terms of being shot into spotlight when you win a gold medal for Canada. Everything just kind of changes. But yeah, as a hockey player, I learned tons about playing a different role on a team. Like you said, I was a young player. I wasn't playing a lot. I had to really adjust my game, figure out how to stay high energy, stay a good teammate when I wasn't getting the production I wanted or the value on the ice as I was used to. So yeah, that was an adjustment, but still such a cool experience, and accomplishing your goal at such a young age, your lifelong dream, is definitely for a moment, super confusing, but I think we're lucky with this new league too now. It's not going to be a 1 every 4 year type of deal. I mean, the Olympics will be, but we have something to work on in between that, which is really awesome. But yeah, coming back to college after that was definitely an adjustment after being surrounded by such mature, like intense athletes, and then coming back to college and having to be a leader of a team that I had missed a year of was difficult. I think just gaining my respect back, earning connections back, was tough, but ended up working out okay.
I mean, I said you tend to find it more in the UK, and to be honest, you probably find it more with men than you do with women. Did you sort of suffer any jealousy from any sort of teammates in college?
I don't really know. I didn't really feel that as much. I think they were all, Ohio State, I'm very lucky. They were all very proud of me. I was really lucky to have that. I think the only difference for me when I came back that they had won a national championship when I was gone, and I had won an Olympic gold medal when I was away. So then coming back, and it was like, oh, we both kind of really succeeded in our own ways, and then now we kind of have to just like join together and like understanding like one's not like valued higher than another when we're going to be on a team. So I think that was the only kind of conflict for a second blimp of it, and coming back, like I said, and having to be that captain and really wanting to be, but not wanting to step on toes was difficult.
Yeah, but I suppose that's the pure professional athlete mentality, isn't it? It's silliness has to go out the window. This is about winning.
Yeah, definitely. I think in college, when girls are a little bit younger, I think that the culture of a team is crucial. I think when you get to the professional level, if you've made it that far, I think most girls have it figured out by then how to be a good teammate. There's a few that aren't, but I think in college the culture is literally crucial to have a successful season. So I think I think that although it is all about winning, there are factors like that go a lot towards winning. So not wanting to be a rent in that is a big thing.
And aside from the gold medal championships in college, you also won 3 world championships with Canada as well. I mean, that's just an astonishing level of accolades. I mean, the world championships in hockey, they're not like really many other sports, are they? Because with the sort of the pool system, do you find that level is perhaps even maybe harder than an Olympics because that is truly the elite?
Yeah, I would consider it's not the same as the Olympics. It is the same teams, but I think with the Olympics, you get a lot more preparation, time to prepare. So I think the teams are a little bit more ready. But a Worlds, yeah, like the Worlds competition has only been going up. And of course, when we play, sorry,
my dog was in the background here. We can
on the balcony. But when you play in a Worlds, like against the U.S. or now against Czech or Finland, the competition's only going up, and girls are getting the opportunity, like I said, to come over and play the highest level. And if you get like the top girls from each country coming over here and competing all year round, this level and the competition of the sport is only going to go up. And I think that's the exciting part of women's hockey.
Yeah. So as you were coming through Ohio State, when did you kind of first get the vibe that the PWHL was going to happen? And was there then something that you really had to do to set it in motion that you would be part of it?
So I kind of heard the rumblings, when the PWHPA, which is like the player association, was working to research on markets and research on getting people to invest in the new league. We all knew that was happening. But there was rumblings around the Olympics that it would be coming soon. And I didn't have any part of making the league. I was just kind of listening, waiting on the outside. The women doing it put in a ton of work. So I think once anything was released, you know, we were all excited and all we could do was follow. And, you know, once the CBA was released, we all signed it. We were all so pumped, entered my name into the draft, and that's all it was. I had no control after that. But that was kind of the cool part. We always wanted to be pros, and to not know where you were going to go and to enter the draft like that was a cool experience.
Did you get what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I would be in Toronto at all. But yeah, I'm really lucky now to be so close to home, around so many loved ones, be in a city that's really excited about the hockey. Yeah.
Excellent. So what's a typical game day like for you now?
Now I don't necessarily pregame skate. I don't love it, but if I would go do an activation workout in the morning, come back, nap, eat my pregame meal, get ready, go to the rink, it's pretty standard. I'm not adding too much crazy stuff into my routines.
No, you're not one of the crazy superstitious ones.
No, I don't really think so. No.
Is there anything crazy in the Toronto locker room?
I mean, I feel like our goalie is probably known for the most crazy stuff. She has a lot of contraptions that she does before the game. She puts on her goggles, and they have vision blocking goggles, and I don't know. She is definitely, goalies are the ones that you need to ask.
They are a very weird breed.
Yeah.
I think my first guess because I cover the third tier in the UK.
Yeah.
And when we come back, my first guest of the season is a goalie. So, he will probably completely agree with all the weirdness I get up to. Have you got a favourite player that you idolised when you were playing, and have you happened to play with them or against them since then?
Yeah. So Mary-Philip Poulin was my all-time favorite player forever. And she obviously now is my teammate with Team Canada, and I play against her in Montreal. But yeah, I remember the first time I went to an international event, I couldn't speak to her. I was so scared. I was so intimidated. And now I went to her bachelorette. So I feel like things have escalated pretty quickly in 2 years. But yeah, we were lucky. We got really close over the Olympic year and then the years after.
Have you had anyone that you've gone through the entire process with, from college and now into pro and international?
Not necessarily college. I had a teammate, Ashton Bell. I played U18s with her, so I was playing with her with Team Canada U18 since we were 16 up until we were roommates at the Olympics. So I think that's pretty cool. We kind of played all the different levels together. She went to Minnesota Duluth. I went to Ohio State, so we played against each other in college. And then we were kind of always the two underdogs of our age group. We were always the two on the low end of the depth chart earlier on in the Hockey Canada career. And then we had two really good college careers, and it kind of shot us up. So it was cool to share that moment with her.
Yeah. And do you have a favourite player that you play with now?
Oh, on Toronto?
Yeah.
I feel like Natalie Spooner is just such an inspiration. She's a mom and playing. I think that's super cool. I also feel like I looked up to her so much. She was an Ohio State Buckeye when she was younger. So I got to want to be her when I was going to Ohio State and wanted to make the Olympic team. So she obviously made the Olympic team for numerous years and is now my Toronto teammate. We're also very close. And then she got to kind of prove people wrong this year. People thought her career was kind of slowing down after having a baby, and she really shot through and broke everyone's expectations and had a crazy season, scoring 20 goals. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, Forward of the Year, I think she was named, wasn't she?
Exactly, and I think Player of the Year too.
Oh, Player of the Year as well. That's fantastic. Your sort of legacy then as a player yourself. What's your ambitions for the rest of your career?
I feel like for me, I'm a very solid 200-foot hockey player that's good defensively. And I think that this year was the first year I could really showcase at a higher level, like my playmaking ability. And I think that I've built confidence from that. So this summer I've been really working on the offensive side of my game, building confidence in areas where I can go get the puck and finish them off. So I think for me, I've kind of set my ground where I will always do the non-negotiable things for me, like being physical, going get the puck, stick lifting, back checking, but now I'm just at a point in my career where I want to keep adding, and I'm kind of ready to do that.
Excellent stuff. Well, Emma, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's
Yeah,
been
thanks for having me.
to talk to you. We wish you all the best for your season in Toronto in the PWHL. We'll be keeping an eye on from the UK, and hopefully you can bring some silverware back to Toronto for the first time in God knows how long.
Hopefully we do. Thanks.
A massive thank you to Emma for joining me on the podcast. What an absolute privilege to speak to one of the professional players and just to hear just how well they are doing over there. I love watching it on YouTube. I think it's a great product to watch. It's really fast. It's really, really intense. And I think it's just getting better and better. The level of attendance that they're getting at the games is just absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that it's streamed live on YouTube across the world is just even better for everybody. So, yeah, once again, thank you to Emma, and thank you for Adam for putting that into the episode of ZPG Ice Maidens that will be going out when he gets a preview going for everything that's going to be going on in the WNIHL for the 24-25 season. We've got a little bit coming up this weekend. There's some Britain teams that are having pre-season friendlies. There's also one league game. The Oxford City Stars are going to face the Solihull Barons on Saturday at a pre-season friendly before hosting the MK Thunder on Sunday, the 1st of September. So next week's episode will also have all of the match reports involving the Britain teams from this weekend, plus the results from elsewhere. Next week, we'll also have another interview episode where I'm going to be catching up with legendary sports commentator Bob Ballard. Bob has worked across the BBC, Eurosport and TalkSport for years and years and years. If you don't know his name, you certainly will recognise his voice. Bob was part of the Winter Olympics team covering that as well. It should also be part of it when it goes to Milan in 2026. So that's going to be really interesting to get Bob's point of view on how the media could perhaps improve the winter sports in Britain that don't really get as much funding as perhaps they should and certainly perhaps they deserve. So really looking forward to speaking to Bob. That'll be coming later next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really do hope you've enjoyed the chat with Emma. Like I said, next week we'll have all the details from the games that have been played over this weekend and then an interview episode later in the week. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.